Hello, welcome to Firehouse Stories. My name is Bob, this is Doug, and we tell behind the scenes stories of the fire service and individuals that were members of the fire service. So grab a cup of coffee and pull up a chair. We've got another doozy to tell today.
Yeah, sure do. I was working at this station out in the East End. I'd been there for a couple of years. I was riding the aerial truck as the captain, making you the senior captain in the station. And then you
How
had
many people in the station?
it'd be 4 on the pump and 3 usually on the aerial truck, so about 7.
Okay.
Most of the time it's 7 guys. Anyhow, I had a unique group of guys out there at the station, and the one guy was a real shit disturber. Like, he's a nice guy, I like him, but just always causing trouble. Just always taking things to
Good-natured trouble or?
good-natured, but he takes things right to the limit.
Oh yeah, pushing it.
And he came over to our squad, and they come up to our station, and I was told that he was only going to be there a very short time, and they're going to move him out. So I thought, that's good. But he fit in. He came out to the station, he fit in with the guys, and he asked me, he said, do you mind if I stay? Because he said, I'm really enjoying myself here. And I said, sure. I said, as long as you behave yourself. I know it sounds childish, but I had to tell him to behave. Because he was a worrisome person to the captains.
Oh yeah, he's known not to behave. He got a Medal of Honor though, didn't he, for physically decking somebody? Or
Yeah, at
pushing
a fire scene.
Yeah.
Somebody set fire to a lawyer's office, and he found him in there. And he brought a gun to the guy's throat, to the firefighter's throat. And well, with that, he decked him, dropped him, carried him out of the fire, and the police arrested the guy right there.
So this is the type of guy we're talking
Yeah,
about. No nonsense.
Oh yeah, good guy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he, as a senior captain, I'd go in the captain's office in the morning, and I'd check the master planner and look up on the computer screen, and it told me I had a ride along. So I went into the kitchen where the guys were having coffee in the morning, and I said, guys, we got a ride along.
What's a ride along?
Well, a ride along's somebody from the public puts in, could be a draw or could be whatever. And anyways, they put in to ride along on a fire truck. And they ride with the firefighters, and they go where they go. And
For a day?
For the day. Usually they come in around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And they're there till supper time, and then we kick them out. Anyways, and sometimes they stay a little longer if they fit in. Anyways, we got a girl ride along. Now this is very important that we tell everybody to make sure that they behave themselves, especially with a woman, because sometimes the women, they think they're interested in stuff like that, but they're...
This diversity stuff too is
Yeah.
just coming up big time.
Oh,
and,
huge.
And I know for one, Doug was having a hard time with it.
I struggled with it, but I was
So
good.
did your dad.
Well, he was retired. He was
Well,
he had
it
his
was
last
still-
ride along.
It was still, I think he was the first guy charged though, wasn't he?
Oh, probably.
For
Oh,
calling
yes.
somebody an asshole.
Yeah, that's another story, Bob. That's,
Yeah,
another story we can talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow, I said to the guys over coffee, I said, we got to ride along. And the other captain, the junior captain in the hall, he goes, oh yeah, what is it, a woman? I said, actually it is. He goes, really? He said, I haven't had much luck with women. I said, how's that, Cap? And he said, well, usually if I have a ride along woman, he said, they're usually short and ugly. And he said, I don't have much luck. I said, well, I usually have pretty good luck. I said, and we're just kind of firefighter talk, bantering back and forth.
Yeah, but you ain't no piece of chocolate cake yourself, Doug, so.
Me or the other captain?
You. Well,
Oh, sure I am. Everybody out there in the TV world can see that I am a hot-looking item. And hotter back then.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, we go into the captain's office, the other captain and I, after everybody's finished their coffee. Everybody's doing the chores, the station chores. The ride-along usually shows up around 9:30. Well, this is around 9 o'clock, and I look up, and the ride-along girl, she walks by the front door, or the front windows of the fire office. Anyways, a knock comes to the door, and so I go and I answer the door, and the girl says, yeah. She said, I'm here for the ride-along. I said, oh, well, come on in. And she got this box. And it's a cardboard box and there's no lid on it. And I look inside and she's got coffee cake in there. She said, I was told never to show up at a fire station without coffee cake or having something to eat. I said, well, you didn't have to do that. I said, that's not,
Very nice.
it was very thoughtful of her. And she seemed like a really nice girl. Anyways, I said, well, come on into the kitchen. And I said, we'll get coffee. And I said, I'll get the guys in and have an introduction. And I'm more wanting the guys to know she's in the house, because if they get on the PA, sometimes they'll be dropping the F-bombs or whatever.
Remember at Central, when we were working young and working there as firefighters, the code would be there was a man on the roof if a woman came in the fire station.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man on the roof.
Man on the roof.
That's right. I forgot about
There's a
that.
watch office at the bottom. I would watch that. They went upstairs. Oh, man on the roof.
That was a key. That was a key.
Yeah, watch yourself, yeah.
Anyhow, so I said to everybody to the kitchen. I said, our ride-alongs here. So guys all file into the kitchen and they're all sitting down. I said, look at it. I said, I think we're calling Cindy. I said, Cindy made us a coffee cake and have coffee and coffee cake. I said, she said, well, it should be hot. I just made it this morning. And so she's taking it out of the box and she's all jittery because she's nervous. And the guys are all kind of looking, checking her out because she's not bad looking. Anyways,
Above expectations. Anyway.
above expectations, exactly.
Doug, just a little side. Didn't you? No, never mind. Never mind. We'll do that later. I'm talking about car seat guys.
Oh, geez,
What's
that's
their expectations?
that's another story.
Okay.
There's lots of stories, Bob.
Yeah,
Lots.
okay.
I was a firefighter for 37 years on that department. I should have a few stories. Anyhow, everybody's in the kitchen talking and chatting and having coffee and coffee cake, except there's one guy missing. And that was the guy who's the troublemaker. And I'm like, what the hell? So I said to the guys, I said, where is Joe? I said, Joe's not in here. They, oh, well, I think he's out at the side of the fire hall having a smoke. I said, well, I think Joe should be in here. And I'm thinking, well, anybody should be in here. It should be him. So the other captain and I are sitting at the same table, and this girl, she's sitting at a table and she got her coffee cake out and she's cutting slices and giving to the guys, and the guys are all appreciated and they're drinking their coffee. Well, if Joe doesn't come walking in and fling himself down in a chair, and he's slouched and kind of sitting back looking this girl up and down. So I said, Joe, I said, this is Cindy. I said, she's our ride-along. He looks at the other captain. He says, I thought you said she was going to be short and fat and ugly.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, oh my God, like, you better watch, Joe. You're going to get fired talking that way. And the girl stood up and she backed up against the wall and she's looking at her, looking at him. And the other captain goes, what did you just say? He said, I thought you said she was going to be short, fat, and ugly. Well, so here you got the junior captain. He's going to have him fired. He wants his guy's job. The senior captain, myself, trying to figure out how I'm going to keep his job. And this girl I'm thinking she's going to run.
She's going to City Hall.
Oh, yeah. I thought for sure she was going to dart right then. She's petrified. Well, the other captain gets up, walks over to the sink, and he takes his coffee cup and just drops it into the sink. Splash goes the coffee. He said, you, Joe, in the office now. Like that. And with that, the girl says, oh, wait. I've known Joe all my life. We grew up together. He texted me and asked me if it was okay if he said that. She said, this is a total setup. And the other captain goes, are you serious? She said, totally. She said, he just told me to look like I'm shocked. She said, I know what he's like. I know him all about him. Anyways, it was probably one of the best gets because I'm sitting there. Well, that other captain sat down. He looked like he got hit by a bucket of water. The sweat was just pouring off him because he was so stressed out about what was going on because he was going to ship him down to Central and have him fired.
For something remedial. Anyway, ship him out for something remedial.
Oh, gee, unbelievable. Anyhow, that was probably one of the best gets on the fire department.
Well, this is one I'll tell a little bit later about where you got, and I think it's still legendary talking to people that are like two generations
I think
below
that's
me.
forgotten. I think it's.
I know you
the
would.
bridge.
Yeah,
That's water.
but anyways, that's for another episode. Thanks so much for tuning in to Firehouse Stories. I'm Bob. This is Doug, and we post every Friday. So if you want notification that the posts are up to come right to your mailbox, please subscribe. Otherwise, press the like button, and we'll see you next Friday.
See ya.
Bye-bye.